Hi everyone, welcome back to a year of granny squares, and this one is more about the project than it is about the square. So this one I'm just using granny squares for, and I'm going to show you how I do my granny squares because I don't turn them, I don't do turning chains, and they all work out without twisting. So I'm going to be doing this one with you. But for this tutorial I'm going to need 3, so I've already done 2, and I'm going to do a third one. So the yarn that I'm using is the yarn that I got for myself while I was out of the country in Las Vegas, but you can use any cotton yarn. This is called Peaches and Cream Stripey. It is really soft cotton. It's a 4-way Aran. But you can use any yarn. You can use a DK if you want, or a chunky, as long as you use the corresponding crochet hook with that. So for this one, it's recommended a 4.5mm needle or a 5mm crochet hook. Now I've got a feeling I did use a 4.5 on these. I just tested it out and it looks like I did. But this is just from the US, but you can use any, as I said, any cotton. But we do need really a cotton yarn for this. So once these are made, I will be lining them. So all I'm going to do is turn them over, and I have a few of these fat quarters. I'm not going to use this one, obviously, because it is red and pink. But I'm just going to cut it to size, and with a little turnover that I shall iron, and then I will tack it, kind of sew it, you know, with just a hand sewn along each square. So what I'm also going to do after I have finished my squares, I am going to edge them, and so I will show you on the one that I'm going to show you now everything we're going to do to these squares, and then the only thing I won't show you is my disastrous sewing attempt, because I will tell you what I'm going to do, just to make a square of each and sew it on the reverse side. That's all I should do, but I'm not going to go right up. Once I've got my border, I'm not going to go right up to the top, because I want to be able to have that clear part at the top to join them in a certain way. Okay, so bear with me 1 second while I just pause the video and get this all set up to start. And in the meantime, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you won't get informed when all videos pop up, even if you click it to all, because YouTube don't really do that anymore, but you might stand a chance of getting some of them. Okay, so I'm just going to put this away, and I shall come back to you once we're ready to start. Okay, so I'm ready now. Now I'm going to be using my wool Genie. Even though these are pretty dense and it's hard to get into the centre, I managed to get it in, and I'm going to be using that. So incidentally, everything that I'm using today is available in my shop, hobbyrocks.co.uk, except for the fat quarters. So I'm going to use, that's a 4, I'm going to use this 5mm crochet hook, because I was obviously using the 5, not the 4.5. And for the start, we're going to make a magic ring, a magic loop, whatever you want to call it. Some people call it magic circle, but it's magic, whatever it is. So I'll leave a nice long tail and make a loop, and I put in my hook and pull the yarn through, and I make a chain, and I've done my magic loop. It's the easiest magic loop you'll ever make, to be honest with you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make what I call the stack stitch. Bear with me 1 moment. I had a coffee ground in my finger. I just emptied my coffee machine, and I had a coffee ground there. So I thought, oh, that doesn't look very nice on camera, does it? So I went to move it. I'm going to do the stack stitch, which is a stack single crochet in the US and a stack double crochet in the UK. So to do that, I'm going to insert my hook into the ring and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both, and then I'm going to go through this side post only, this one here, just that one side post, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over through both of them. So now I'm up to the right height for a UK treble or a US double crochet, and I'm going to do the usual thing for a granny square and make 2 2 more stitches. So that stack counts as my first stitch, and this is my second and third. And now I'm going to do 1 chain and 3 more in the same place, but I'm working over that tail like we always do with a magic loop, ring, circle, whatever you want to call it. So my way is a lot easier than most I've seen. So now I'm going to chain 1 and put 3 more in that same space. Chain 1, you can use a 4.5 or a 5 on this, it doesn't really matter. It's Aran, it's not very thick though, I'm just saying. And you can do another 3, what am I talking about? It's my 4th, that's what was in my head, that this is 4 of my clusters. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we have them all now. And I'm going to go into the top of my stack, which is one of the reasons I like doing it, is you get this nice 2 loops to go into. And I'm going to close this circle with a UK double crochet or a US single crochet. And there's a reason for that. So I'm just going to pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through both of those. Now I'm right in the center of this space, and it's no bigger or smaller than all of my other 1 chain spaces. So now I'm going to do the stack in that space that I've just created and do exactly the same way as before, and 2 more UK trebles or US doubles. And that is half, oops a daisy, don't want to put it in there, half of my corner. Okay, so in the rest of my spaces, I'm going to put a full corner in. So that's 3. And 1 chain and a further 3. And that will make our corner. So if you're familiar with making granny squares, I hope I'm not going to bore you, but I do mine this way. So I'm going to go in this one here and put a full corner, in this one here and put a full corner, and I'll catch up with you when I get back to this one and we will complete that corner. Okay, I've now got my 2 more full corners, and I'm going to complete this one by putting a further 3 in this one here. Whoops. And I just want to show you something. You see how this has gone like that? I had a friend of mine said that they didn't like working with cotton because that happened. If you just give it a tug up, it disappears, that puckering. So now I'm going to close up exactly the same way as I did before by going through those 2 loops and by making a UK double crochet. So now I have my square. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that out for a second, and I'm going to tug on this to close it. Sometimes when you're working with cotton, that doesn't really want to close that well, but it's not too difficult to just give it an extra tug and close it up. We will have to secure that. Maybe it might work itself loose again while we're working, but you know, it doesn't matter. So now what we're going to do is our corners will always remain the same. Half corner to start and a corner in each. But the types of sides that we do will grow with each round. So I'm going to go back into my gap I've just created and do the stack. And 2 UK trebles, which of course are US doubles. I won't keep saying all of them every time because you know the stitch we're making now. Now, why don't I turn my work? I never have had my granny squares go twisting. You know, I have a video called How to Stop Your Granny from Twisting. And this is kind of basically my secret. They twist because of this. Some people put a chain in there, but it doesn't really stop it. It just makes it extra baggy, if you like. But this is why, this one stitch. So what I do is when I'm making it, I will cut that stitch and pull it across a little bit. So I go in and just tug it over. Now you can see it's nice and upright. And I think that simple thing is why my granny squares don't twist and turn. I don't get a twisting granny. So now we're going to put a full corner in this side. That and not put in that extra chain. And some people, they'll do a chain in between their sides here, and they'll put 2 chain. I don't do that either. Just 1 chain, because you're putting stitches in here which will create a larger gap. You don't need to make it with chains. The stitches pull it to the size it wants to be. And again, that one is slanting slightly over here. So I go in right into the corner of the stitches, and my action of making it pulls it up, so it will then straighten it. So now we've got 1 in each side. Okay, but as you can see, imagine this is a full corner and a full corner. On the next round we'll have 2. So that's how it grows with each round. So it's just a repeat, basically, this granny square, just a repeat of what we're doing here, but it will grow at the sides each time around. I'm doing my full corner. And then my side, and I'm going to go in, and if I don't have to pull it, but it just naturally does that because I have no chains. And I'm not the tightest crocheter, but my tension's not loose either. So as you can see, it's squaring up nicely. Now, you might, if you've got a variegated yarn, or you might want to use different colours and have them kind of, if you have got variegated, you can manipulate the colours. As you can see, I've got a little bit there. If I hadn't left such a long tail, that wouldn't have happened, I don't think. But I did want a nice amount to sew in. So I've got that pucker in again. And it's just a case of goodbye. Okay, last bit on the side. And then we're back to finish that corner again. Okay, so here I am, finishing the corner off. And I'm going to go into the top of that stitch there, 2 loops, and do the same. So there we are, we have our square, and now we're going to do half a corner, and we're going to do 2 along the side, a full corner, 2 along the side, a full corner, 2 along the side, a full corner, 2 along the side, finish the corner, and end by not chaining, but going in and doing a UK double crochet in there, or a US single. So as you can see, with my one here that I've done, that's the back, I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds. So you might want to manipulate the colours if you don't like when it goes like this. That's not all one colour, it is sort of variegating, but I don't think with this project it matters too much, to be honest with you. So I'm going to pause the video, and I don't think you need to see me doing this granny anymore. It is quite simply just repeating the same again, this row completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Repeating. And then each time we go around, it will grow more. So we're here, and the next row will have 2, and then the next row will have 3 between the corners, and the next one will have 4 between the corners, so it just grows outwards. And so I'll come back to you when I have my 10 rounds. Okay, so I've done my 10 rounds. I forgot to put my glasses on, just bear with me a second. So yeah, I've done my 10. Now all I'm going to do at this point is make my join and end off. Get my scissors and cut this yarn and just pull that out. Okay, so now I mentioned earlier, that's all I have left of this particular little cake. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to border each one. So this is, I've done that on these. I decided to just do these two. So all I'm going to do is put a UK double crochet, which is a single crochet in the US, all the way around, 3 in the corner. So I've just got a solid colour to do that. It's quite a good match for size. This is a DK, but as you can see, there's nothing whatsoever in that. This is meant to be a 4-weight, but this is meant to be a DK. So there is nothing at all in the size of those. So you can get that anywhere that you would like. So I've got mine already set up on my Genie, which is spinning around like a loony there. I'm going to join it to any corner except this one so that I can work over just the one tail. Okay, so I have a multiple of ways that I join my yarn, and quite often I just do a chain with the tail above it, and then I'm just going to put 2 in this corner. So I'm going to pull that so it disappears underneath it. So 2 UK doubles or US singles in that corner there. Okay, so this very first stitch often gets covered up by that one, and in the past, like many people, I pull it across and I go in there, but sometimes I find that that's just a bit too much. So most of the time I just ignore that one and I go straight into the next one, and I'm going to just do 1 UK double or US single in every single stitch along the edge of my square. Not tight, just nice and loose so that they stay kind of, the tension stays good, it doesn't bunch up or you know, pucker, that's the word. And there we go, I'm over the end on this very next one. That's got rid of that tail. Okay, so yeah, we'll just make our way all the way to the end of this row. I would call it a row now. It's round, but it's a row to that corner. Okay, nice and easy, but it will give us a nice solid colour to join our yarns, you know, join our squares together, and so you won't have one colour against another. It would join the same colour to join, which would be not much neater and better kind of looking. So once I get to the corner, I'm going to do what we would normally do with this stitch in any corner, and just do 3 stitches in the corner. And of course I'm going to work over that tail. Am I there now? Yes, I am. So I'll probably push that down the side there. 1, 2, and 3. Turn it and go straight into that one. I have done it in the past where I've pushed it across and gone in that first stitch, but it just seems sometimes to be that one stitch too many, and it really makes no difference when I've sewn it up and everything. If you just ignore that one, it's perfectly fine. Makes no difference. So that's all we're doing then, is we're doing 1 in every single stitch. I'm not going into the big space, I am going into the stitch. I'm going to go all the way along here, 3 in this corner here, all the way along, 3 in this corner, and then all the way along. I'll catch up with you at this point to finish that corner off. Okay, so I'm approaching the corner, a couple more to do. So as I did 2 in there already, I'm going to do my 3rd one. Okay, and I'm just going to pull this out. I'm going to cut off my yarn, leaving a fairly good sized tail. And I'm going to get out my, is that the one I want, or is that? One of these is slightly bigger than the other. That's the one I want. Okay, so I'm going to, it's a bit tricky with cotton. It's not as pliable as an acrylic yarn, but I'm going to put my hook in there for a sec, just to make that a little bit bigger, because I need to get it through the other way. And I need to bring that loop, which is too big, obviously, pull it. I need to bring that loop through that stitch. Not always the easiest thing to do. Have I managed it? I think I might have managed it and a little loop, but never mind. Okay, so now it's through. I'm just going to pull it out. And then I'm going to threadle my darning needle with that. Of course, it's not going to work too well while I'm on camera because it never likes to. There we are. Okay, so we've gone through this stitch here, that way, and now our yarn is here, and what we're going to do is going to go into this one. There is our 2 loops. We're going to do the back one only. Go through the back one only, and then when you pull it closed, you can see it just looks like any other V. So I'm going to go, actually, I think I might have gone the wrong way through it. I'm going to ignore me, guys. Ignore me. I'm not. Okay. So we're going to threadle our needle back up again. Oh, it went easier that time. Okay. And we're going to bring this round and go back through there. So what I like to do, you see this piece here? I like to catch that as I go down. Doesn't help that I've got a nice big loop on that stitch, does it? And what you see is it just becomes like a normal chain. And I've already gone through that stitch there and brought it further down. So now all I can do now is just make a loop, and I want to go through that loop to make a knot and pull it tight. Okay, so then I've just got to bury the tail, which is okay. So now I'm going to go through all of these, but I'm going to split the yarn as I do it, and that way it doesn't all come through. Otherwise you're just pulling it out on itself and then back. Okay, so I'm going to go back the other way, and again I'm going to split that yarn. I need to split it. It's funny when you want to split yarn, it doesn't really want to play, does it? So then it stays. Just pull that, and I've buried that tail, and all I need to do now is snip that off. And also what I need to do before I do anything else really is tighten these up. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do a little knot on itself, then I'm just going to bury that in there. So I'm going to do that on all 3 squares. So what I want to show you then is how it looks now it's finished. So obviously I'm not going to use this, but I'm going to find some material that is either white or maybe just a solid navy or something along those lines. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it. This is the reverse side. So I'm going to cut it so that it's the same sort of size as my square, but I'm going to fold that in on itself, and then I'm going to attach this so that it's where my previous round ended, and I want this sitting above it. So I'm just going to attach it here along this line, so it'll be kind of like that, but it will leave these stitches for me to work with. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to cover each square. I'm going to have the, if I've got a pattern, I'm going to have the right side facing in, so it will be the back of the work and the front of the material. And again, I'm just going to attach it to where the base of these stitches are, all the way along each edge, and so it'll be a completely lined square. That's what I'm going to do when I've found the right colour that I want to do this with. So that's it. Then I'll leave you to make your 3 squares, and if you don't want to do a liner, then you don't have to. It's just complete personal preference. I think that must have gone like that. So yeah, if you don't want to line, you don't have to. It's just I'm going to, because obviously a granny square is quite holy. Now you can make this bag with any square you want. It doesn't have to be a traditional granny square. You can make it with anything. A spiked, you can make it with corner to corner squares, as long as you end up with squares, and in any size that you really want. So this is quite a nice size. I haven't got a tape measure with me, but as you can see, it's quite a good size square, and it'll make a nice size bag. But I do feel that with a granny, with a traditional granny, it obviously needs a liner, or whatever you're keeping in there just might fall out the holes. So that's all I'm going to show you for now, until I come back with my squares nicely lined and my middles all nicely completely closed and secured. I won't show the whole process, but all I did was cut my material and kind of fold it over and iron it, so that I can then attach it just by kind of over sewing, whip sewing. You can't see it, but I'm just catching this and then going through my fabric, and I'm leaving the top so that I can use those stitches. Now it's not looking like it fits, but it does, because I'm putting my equipment on top of it. But that's all I'm doing, and I'm doing it to each one of them. So I'm going it around. Now I'm not doing it so you can see it from the other side. I'm just sewing it on. I'm not going to do that by machine, because that would make it visible, and it's quite simple. Now obviously this is a step that you don't have to do, but I just wanted to, so that, you know, my bag was a little more secure and things wouldn't fall out. But that is really all I'm doing, and it's not visible from the inside, or barely visible, I would say. You'd have to really look for it. Okay, so I'm not going to show you the whole process, but I just wanted to show you that that is how I'm doing it. Okay, so I've lined each one of these, and they're all kind of sewn in exactly the same way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to sew these together. So I'm going to start at the corner, and I'm going to sew these with yarn, obviously, all the way along, and turn over on the backs as well. So you kind of just need to position them so that they look the nicest, because if you've used a variegated yarn like myself, then they're going to be quite different. So I've tried doing this and in each way, and this is the way that I kind of prefer them to look together. If I turn them over, you can see they're quite light in places, and I just think it looks nicer that they're more uniformly, the colours are more uniformly distributed. So all I need to do then is get some of my yarn, and the one that I was using, I have no idea where that is, and get my darning needle out of my case. Wrong side, of course it is. Right, So got my scissors and a darning needle. So I'm going to use this one with the medium-sized eye for this, and I'm going to take off a fair bit of the same yarn that I have edged it with. I don't want it too long, obviously, but enough to go around if I can. Okay, so I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm just going to thread all this up and struggle before your very eyes to put it in. It does help if I wear my glasses, doesn't it, really? I forgot to put them on. That would be better for me. Okay, so just pop that in. And we want this to be as neat as we possibly can at that join. I've actually got rather a lot. So I'm going to turn it, move this one out of the way for now. And I want to do an invisible join. So I've left, as I said, this part here so I can work through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my corner and through the other side. It's rather long, so bear with me. I'm going to leave quite a bit there just to tug on and to sew in. And I'm going to find the corresponding part here and go in one part of the corner, out the other. So this is through the V's. I'm working through these V's. And in knitting, this would be called the mattress stitch. So we've been adapting this nicely for crochet. And make sure I keep that tail. It doesn't, I've got to pull some yarn. That's it. So then we go to the next one and we'll go into that one and up through the other side. Doesn't look too neat at the moment, but it does get neat. It's trouble, I've got so much yarn on this. And where's my tail gone? There. Okay, so I'm up through that side. Let's move it over. So then we go into the next one. I went into the same one as before, so I'll do that again. So in there, up through the next. Let's try and keep the tail over this side and pull that through. It's a little neater. And then in again through the same one, up through the next. And then the one on the other side. Let's move this down just a little bit. There we are. Hopefully you can see in through the same one, up through the next. Won't get danger of getting my tail tangled again. And then on this side, in through the same one, up through the next. Some people just go to the next one rather into the same one. There's no right or wrong way. I just find this is a little bit of a neater edge. So in and out again. The next one. Over back to this side, in and out. We're going to do that all the way along, but once we've got a certain distance, we will tighten it. Okay. Right, so we get this end, and we just pull it. And it will pull that to a tight, neat join. And we're going to do that all the way along, and then turn it round and go all the way along the other side. So we're into this one. You can just see where that yarn is coming out, and we're coming up through the next. Get rid of that tail again and pop it inside for now. There we are. Nicely out of the way. Okay, and then same again. So I'm just going to do that all the way along and to the other, you know, turning it round and going up the other side. So it's quite tedious to watch me. Whoops, got it stuck. That's the annoying thing. You will get it stuck here and there. So I'm going to pause it then, and I'll come back to you once I've got right to the end. I'm going to go all the way along this end, and then I'm going to turn it over and go all the way along the other, and I'll catch up with you again when I get back to the start. When I get back to the end. You know what I mean? Okay, so I'm almost there, and just carry on till the top. So I've gone all the way around one side, and every now and then just give that a tug to make sure. Now we need to go through these last few. Didn't think I had as many as I do. So because I've lined this bag, if you didn't want to make it out of cotton, if you had some acrylic or any other kind of yarn that you really liked, lining it does make it non-stretchy, kind of sturdy. So if you wanted to, you could make this out of any yarn. It doesn't have to be cotton. So once we've got to the top again, back to the top, not quite there yet. Actually, I think I might have gone in the wrong one there. Did I? I'm going to undo it. I'm going to come back when I've undone. Okay, I'm not so sure that I actually did go in the wrong one. It just looked a little like it, where it was tightened. So, and these loops are baggier, so that's probably why. Just one of those illusions. Okay, so we're nearly there. Are we at the top yet? No. Next one, I think. It's quite a tight stitch. There we are. So I'm going to pull that last bit tight, and what we've got now is a really nice edge all the way along, doing that mattress stitch, and looks kind of nice. So that's one. So now we've got to do the other side and get back to where we were, Trace. So we've done that side. All I'm going to do is cut this with a nice long tail, because I'm going to tidy those corners up at the end, but this isn't long enough. This is on my needle, so I'm going to thread another, and I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to start at the top. I'm not actually in the center there, that's it. I'm going to start at the top just as I did before, go all the way down and all the way back up the other side with this next one, so that they're identical. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to pause the video, and next time I come back I'll have done that. We'll tidy up those ends, and then we're ready for the strap. Okay, so I have sewn these together all the way around both sides. So we have a choice of the very, very blue side or the really, really pastel side, whichever mood you're in when you want to do it. So this way it's fully lined. Obviously these joins are the only bits that are not lined, but they are so kind of tight and sort of snug together, nothing is going to leak out of this bag ever. So all that remains now then is to get rid of these ends in a nice secure way that doesn't spoil the look of the bag, and do a strap. And you can get like one of those magnetic snaps to seal it with, or anything else you'd prefer to do that, like a button. Or there is another thing we can do, and that is make one more of these and line it and sew it so that it comes up and the flap comes across. Then you get kind of a bigger looking bag. But for this particular tutorial, this is where we're going. So now we've got these two ends, so that will tighten. We just want to make sure that these corners are nice and together. So it's just a matter of sewing them and not spoiling the look with our disastrous sewing, which hopefully I'm not going to do. I've not done this before, so I'm doing it for the first time. here with you now. But if we kind of make sure that, let's get this one and pull it, that's where it would be. So all we need to do really is go into the corresponding one. So that would be, I'm going to go into this one first because it does need to secure there. I think we fine with that one. It does look it. I'm going to come back out of here, make it a little bit more, and just go into this one and see, does that look okay? No, it doesn't, does it? So I'm going to take that one out. It's just a case of looking to see where we're at with it and if we're happy. So that previous one was the best one to secure it. Now if it loosens up, it's because we haven't done the other side yet, and we need to do both of those. When I say the other side, I mean we're doing one of the cottons that might be on that side. We've got to do the cotton for that side. So we just turn over, and keeping it nice and taut, we need to find an area we can sew in that's not too far away, but it's not going to come out on the other side. That's just too tight there. So I'm going to have to go into this bit, which where I was in the first place. I'm going to make just one for now, and then I'm going to go back in. Hope you can see what I'm doing. I'll zoom in a little bit. I was zoomed, but you couldn't see the whole bag the way I was zoomed before. So I'm going to do that, and then when it's small, I'm going to go back through, and it will make a knot. So that's now nice and secure. And now I'm just going to bury this, and I'm going to bury it just on the inside here, like there. You won't be seeing this at all. We can go along a little more as I sort of left this area to be sewn in anyway. It comes in handy now to bury our yarn. So I want to split that bit there so it doesn't come back through the other side. And now I can snip that one off. And obviously not getting the wrong one, because that wouldn't work, would it? Okay, we need to go down quite low without getting the wrong bit. So now we've got to do this one, and then we've got to do the other side. So I'll do this side with you, and then I'll pause it and do the other side the same, and then we will come back. So this one, just need to look this side. So pull that and it gets nice and snug. Now let's just put this so it's right. So I'm not liking the fact that this one is bigger, but where are we with that? I think that what did it come out? Let's see. Oh, we're right down here with this one, right down here. So we'll come out that side again, and we will come in here. Think that would be okay. And let's have a look at the bag, make sure. No, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's fine. So now we just need to sew that in on the other side. Again, holding it to keep it snug. We're going to go in there. At least we've got a nice, not tight one to go in this time. And pull that tight. And now we're going to bury this one. Easier to bury it along this side, I think. Let's go in the right direction. So we're just going to go along here. And I always go back on myself. So it's come out of this blue one. I'm going to go through that one there. So it's not going to come back and unravel. Okay, so I've gone back the other way. You can go back again, but I don't want to make it bulge in any way. So just cut that off nice and carefully. And we've done one side. So all we've got to do now is the side that corresponds on the other side. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to do that one exactly the same, making sure that if I look at it and I think I've gone too far, I will undo it again and make sure it all fits nicely. Once I've done that, I'll come back to you and we'll kind of get on with the strap. Okay, so all the ends are in, and now we can have a favourite side and a favourite side for another day. So I like that. I'm liking the fact that it's lined. The lining also makes it so that it doesn't get puckered out of shape, which is also a bonus. Now I want this to be an across body bag, so I've kind of measured that I need my bag to be 48 inches, the strap, to make it crossbody. But because these sides go up a little bit, I'm going to make it 45 inches. I think, or maybe 44. That should be enough. So now I did toy with the idea of making this with an I-cord, because I have an I-cord knitter, but not everybody will have one of those. Some people might like to get D-rings and secure an actual strap because we've got lining. That way it won't pull. But I'm just going to crochet one. I did think about using some of this material and covering that to make the strap, so that it would again be taut, not rather than kind of elongate. So, but I'm just going to crochet one, as I said, and I'm going to get the yarn, and obviously I'm going to use the same yarn that I did on the edging. So I'm just going to pause the video a second while I get this set up, and then I'll come back and we'll get on with that. Okay, so I'm going to join my yarn into this stitch here, this one at the end of a kind of peak, if you like. So I'm going to join it there and leave a nice long tail for sewing in. Won't be an awful lot of sewing in. So what I'm going to do is, before I do my strap, it's part of it, I'm going to do a UK double US single crochet all the way along, because obviously there are two here, so that is wider than the top part. So I'm going to do that, and this is kind of how I did the strap of my previous bag, and I quite like the way. So I've obviously got to pull that through so that it's just that stitch standing alone, and I'm going to do one in every, actually I'm going to, when I do the strap, I'm going to use a 4mm, but for this part I've got to go back to the original hook. So there we go. I nearly made a mistake. That's fine. So actually I'm going to use a 4.5. I've got my tangle now. That's it. Drop. I'm going to work over that tail, by the way. So there we are. I'm going to just do one in every single stitch along. It'll help make that little dip here. It'll help sort that out and make it look nice as well. So that's a bonus. Okay, so I'm just going to do that all the way along till I get to the middle. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back to you when I get here. Okay, so here I am. I've got all the way to the middle. I've only got these stitches here. So I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together UK, or a single crochet 2 together in the US for those kind of middle stitches, and then just start going in again all the way until I get to the peak, which obviously is, I want you to stop when we get here. So we've got our 3 here. I want you to stop just before we get there, and I'll come back to you at that point. Okay, so I've gone all the way along. So now this part is the same width as this, and as I say, you can make a secure something there if you want, but we're now going to do the strap. So I've stopped just shy of that top, and these are the 3 stitches that we want our strap to be. So I'm doing one more here, and I'm going to do one in this stitch. Okay, now I want to make a chain which measures the length of my strap. So I want to do mine as a crossbody. You may not want to. You might want to just do a much shorter strap, so it'll be a shoulder bag. I don't get on with shoulder bags, so I'm going to chain until I have, what did I say? I'm going to do about 44 to 45 inches of chain. Okay, so I'm just going to just chain it, and I will pause this video because this will be very boring for me, for you rather, to watch, and I'm not going to count. It's just a case of measuring. So I'm just going to do that then, and I'll come back to you once I've got my chain. Okay, so I have a length now, and what I did was I measured from around here and to there, and I have quite a long chain. So I'm going to try not to, this is going to be a mission to keep this from, hang on, where am I? Where did I go? So I need to get it so that it is not going to twist, which will be, I know, a bit of a mission, but if it does, it actually does, but I'm going to try not to. Of course, you can do your strap any way you want, but I kind of like this. So we're going to get hold of here, and we've got our 3 stitches. We'll look at it at the right side. And here is our, obviously this looks different. So we're going to go into the same stitch as before. Hang on. I want to slip stitch into there. Okay, so now that is secured. I'm going to do 1 UK double crochet or a US single, and then I'm going to turn and go back along here. Now, of course, if you want to, you can go in the back bumps. So that's a case of just going into the bump at the back of the stitch to make your stitch. It will give you this nice edge, but I think it is quite difficult with cotton, and I'm going to do this with my 4mm as well, because I want the stitches on this particular bag to be nice and tight, so it will help it to become not a kind of a floppy strap. The first one is the hardest to get into. I've made that a little bit long there, haven't I? Don't want that. I'll find my back bump again now. There it is. So I'm gonna go in the back bumps, but you don't have to. This first one is a bit of a state, to be honest with you. Just gonna go in there. It's just not worth fiddling with that. Hang on a moment. So maybe I need to slip stitch. There we are. Into that middle. So that secures it. We're securing it to these 3 as we're going along. Now you can, if you want to do half treble, which is a half double in the US, you can do that. You can do a UK double, a US single, or the other. So now I'm just going to go in. It's going to be simpler than trying to fiddle with the back bumps. I find cotton and back bumps a little of a mission. So I'm going to just do 1, and I'm not going to do it loose in every single chain all the way along. And once I get back to the start again, you know, where we began, I'm going to secure it to the bag. So I'll pause the video then, because this is going to be mega boring to watch me just go in one of every single stitch all the way along. It will just bore you to tears. So I'm going to do that, and once I get back here, I will show you how I secure it. Okay, I've made it all the way along, and I did get a little twist, but it's not really very noticeable, and it won't be because it's a strap. So now I'm back at our start. So I'm going to go into my last one, and then I'm going to slip stitch. So we came out of this one. I'm going to slip stitch into this stitch here in the middle of it. So now I'm going to turn my work. Okay, so before I do, I need 3, so I'm going to slip stitch in because I want to get up to the next height. That is the height of this stitch. So I'm going to slip stitch into the next one. doesn't matter if you yarn over or under. And now I'm up into the next height, so I'm going to just go back all the way along again, but at least I know this time there will be no twist anywhere along my chain. It's hard really when you've got a long chain. It can happen. The good thing about doing the bag this way is because you've got your row of chain, it's going to keep it from stretching. That's one of the reasons that I like to do it this way, even though you've got that really long chain and it can be difficult to keep it from twisting at some point. I don't think I started off particularly well either. Kind of got in a bit of a kerfuffle with those back bumps, or not the back bumps. So now we've got a strap that's this wide. We will do one more when we come back. We will secure it again, and that will be so we're going to go all the way back, then come back on ourselves, and it will be 3 wide. So I'm just going to carry on then all the way to the other side. Once again, when I get there, I will come back to you and we will do the next part. Okay, so this is because it twisted, I have a problem, and that is to join it. I'm actually not got a problem. I'm just it's my own problem of my own making because I twisted my bag. So I haven't actually got a problem. I thought I twisted it. You know what I thought I'd done? I thought I'd come out on the wrong side because my initial chain was twisted, but no, it's fine. Phew, thank goodness for that. I frightened myself. So I'm going to go in my last one. Okay, and now I'm going to join it to my very last stitch, and then I'm going to go into the next one to bring it up to the height, and I'm going to turn it. Oh my goodness, you don't know how scared I was when I got to there. I thought I'd gone wrong. I hadn't gone wrong. My brain had. Okay, so now I'm going to do one last go across here. So I'm going to go into the first one here and do one in each. Nice and simple. I just want to say how I like the way this strap's looking. I know it's a very simple stitch, but I think it's looking really nice and I'm happy with it. Very happy with it. So I'm only going to do it 3 wide because that is the 3 kind of stitches at the top of, wow, I'm just so relieved I hadn't gone wrong. That would have been a nightmare. So anyway, I'm going to carry on all the way across until I get to the other side, and then I will show you my how we join it here and what we do next. Okay, so I'm almost back at, where's my, I've gone too low there, took it out too, didn't lift my loop up when I stopped. So almost back at the start. Now, had that been earlier a mistake, I'd have just shown you how I got out of it, but wouldn't have undone it, that's for sure. So there's always a way, you know, there's always a way. But I didn't think, I thought, how on earth could it have gone twisted when it's just in a straight line? It's just me. Anyway, I'm going to show you now because we're coming to the end of our strap, but we need to complete this row here on this side. Remember, we now have a double row which matches our joins. So how do I do this? I'm going to just keep going until I'm 1 away from the end. Okay, and then I'm going to go in this stitch and then into the next stitch and pull them 2 together. So now I'm just working along here and I've finished the strap. The beauty of doing the strap all in one piece is there's no join, it will never come undone and you'll never have to re-sew that. So yeah, did you get that? So as we get to the very end, the last but one, we double crochet 2 together or single crochet 2 together, but this one and the first one in this this row. So now all we need to do is go into every single stitch. Again, actually I need to change my hook because I changed it to a small one for the strap, and I just do one in each stitch all the way along until I get to that V again in the middle. Okay, so we are now working along here, and I'll catch up with you when I get back to this point. Okay, so I'm back at this part here, so I'm just going to do what I did before, and that is in the US single crochet 2 together, in the UK double crochet 2 together, and we skip straight over that part and to the next. Okay, so now we're going along this edge until we get back to the strap. Okay, and I'm going to pause the video and I'll catch up with you when I'm a couple away from the strap. Okay, so I'm approaching my strap and I'm going to go all the way until we get to this one here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut my yarn, nice long tail, and I'm just going to pull out and get my darning needle. I'm going to thread this, which never goes as smoothly for me as others. I've tried all their little techniques and they just don't work for me. So now I'm going to sew this to the strap. So we want to go into this one here, and it then is at the right point. So I'm going to turn round and I'm going to secure this again as I did before with a knot, making sure that stitch was nice and tight. And now all I need to do is bury this in my, I'm going to go down first, if I can catch that's quite a tight little stitch, and down to this level. This is now on the inside of the bag, and I'm just going to bury it along here. So another thing that you can do if you don't feel that the strap is long enough, I mean wide enough actually, not long enough. Length was determined earlier. So if you just want to make it a little wider, let's just snip this off. And we've finished, okay? Or if you don't feel like this is wide enough, you could pick out maybe one of these colours. So obviously you'll be using different yarn. And one of the colours that are in your bag, maybe the darkest one that would make it pop, you can do one UK double US single all the way along this side, securing it, and then securing it at the other side, and then do the same on this side, which would all obviously make it that much wider. So you'd have a much wider strap, and also you're bringing out this colour or one of the darker colours in your bag. That would really make it pop. So if you felt like it, you could do that. I'm still thinking about it, whether I want to do that or not, because it is quite a thin strap, but I don't tend to have big wide bag straps in any case. But that's it, we're done, unless of course you wanted to put a magnetic snap there, which I've got those in the past from places like eBay and Amazon, so you could do that, or you could secure it in any way you like. You could maybe, it's a bit tight for a button, you could put a little popper there, or it's only if you're concerned about it being open with pickpockets, that sort of thing. So anyway, that's it, it's all done. What do you think? I hope you like it. I know it's a bit of a long tutorial, but we did it start to finish, the whole thing. Okay, thanks for watching, and hope you're enjoying your year of granny squares. I'll see you guys on the next one. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and follow us. Okay, bye-bye for now.